of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the hills of Fayette County, where the coal dust touched the sky, there's a voice out in the valley with fire in his eyes. When the big shots hide in silence, then the truth gets pushed aside, and Jon Marietta plants his boots, stands there full of pride. He ain't polished, he ain't perfect, he may stumble now and then, but when that number boy starts rising, folks start listening again. The room gets still, the liars sweat, the good folks gather round. Then Hillbilly Jon starts talking, truth comes rolling down.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to my podcast / radio show. If you want to be part of the sponsorship for this, get a hold of me. There's many ways to do that. You can message me on Messenger on Facebook. It's probably the quickest and easiest way. You can email me and the Marietta Broadcasting Network.com, and we'll go on with that. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of talk in this country about where we came from and where we're headed, but not near enough talk about who brought us here. We're standing on the edge of 250 years of American independence. And I'm going to say it plain. This nation was not an accident. It was ordained in a moment of history where Almighty God chose to rise up a people who would stand for liberty, truth, and faith. Because what happened back then doesn't make sense any other way. A broken, outnumbered army, barefoot in the snow, starving, freezing, outgunned, and yet they didn't fall. They didn't quit. Surrender. Why? Because heaven intervened. Psalms 33:12 says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." And this nation lived under that blessing. George Washington, on his knees in the snow at Valley Forge, wasn't calling on government. He wasn't calling on God. He was praying for a nation that hadn't even fully taken shape yet. And there are accounts passed down of a vision, a warning of trails, vision, and hardship, but also a promise that this nation would endure if it stayed rooted in him. But hear me now. We are testing that promise. Proverbs 14:34 says, "Righteousness exalteth the nation, but sin is a reproach to any people." And we are seeing that reproach. We push God out, and then we wonder why everything feels like it's falling apart. We've traded truth for comfort, conviction for convenience, faith for feelings, and now the foundation is shaking. So I'm going to say it clear as I know how. This nation is not going to be saved by politicians. It's going to be saved by people. People will stand up. People will speak out. People will drop to their knees and cry out to God again. People will cry out to God again. Enough is enough. Not afraid to stand up and say, no more. We're going back. We're going back to God. So wherever you're listening right now, at home, in your car, on the job, I'm asking you, don't just hear this. Act on it. Pray, stand, speak, lead. Because this moment right here, it matters more than we think. And as long as there's breath in this nation, there's still hope. And with that, you're listening to the Hillbilly Jon Show, where we stand on truth, speak it boldly, aren't afraid to say what needs to be said. Let's get into it. I have Kim Kennedy with me, and we're going to talk about a little bit about the founding of the nation today, and a couple of different things. You're not going to be able to see her because she wasn't able to do it that way with us, but that's what we're going to talk about. Kim, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. I count you a good friend and love what you do and agree with what you're talking about. But one of the things I do is I work with Pastor David Whitney, whom your listeners, I hope they remember, has been on your show several times. And we have a program on America Out Loud called Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid. Don't drink that Kool-Aid. And we tell you why. And we're really big on the Constitution, talking about America's greatness, not perfection. There's a distinction, but why we're great, what made us great. And we do that so that we can get back to the principles and ideas that made us great and start doing them again.
Well, I guess what we're going to talk about today is we're going to start out. We're going to do a couple segments with you different times, and what we want to start out with is one thing we want to talk about is that we got a 250-year anniversary coming up, and like I said in my opening, this didn't come about by accident. There was men that gave their lives. There was men that stood up, and we're trying to make it a fun time for the United States, but we also got to remember that we also need to remember that God intervened many times to help us get to where we are. I mean, you want to think about all the different things that happened, but we can start from present time till clear back to the beginning. But like I said, a lot of people don't know the history because I don't believe they're taught history the way it should be taught.
That's right.
George Washington was at Valley Forge in a desperate situation, and he had two choices. It was either fold up, quit, and get hung, or do what he could to move forward. And I think that part of us in modern society right now that has left us. I think that we need to be. I think we're not as bold as we should be. I think we need to bring God back in. Need to bring God back into the picture.
I completely agree with you, John. And too many Christians have bought into the narrative of the left, the revisionist historians. And a lot of it is just a bunch of lies, and it's been revealed by going to the original sources. And they left the people who founded this country, they wrote constantly and left behind a record. So you can go to those sources and read from their own lips the things they said. I mean, just yesterday, I was talking to Dr. Jerry Newcomb, who is with the providenceforum.org, and they've written a book about Thomas Jefferson. He was not a deist. He was not anti-Christian. He helped start an evangelical church. And this new book that he's written, Jerry Newcomb's written a book with a guy named Mark Belial called Jefferson Memorial, talks about the quotes that quotes him directly, doesn't put words in his mouth. So that's a book that you'll want to read. And John, I know you and I are on the same page. We want to engage people in conversation and ask them questions that get them thinking. How do you know this is true? Do the people who say these things, do they footnote it? How do they explain how they get to these points? And John, I heard something recently, and I know that it bothers you as much as it does me, talking about this Democratic Socialist Republic, party. And it's an out-and-out Marxist organization. They're winning elections or stealing, if you with voter fraud on steroids around the country. One of the things that they're doing is they've co-opted our national parks, ones especially commemorating our Civil War, our Revolutionary War, and they're putting a leftist slant on what happened at these sites, and a lot of it's not true. So I'm on a campaign to say, let's set the record straight. Valley Forge is one of them, John. And for your listeners in Pennsylvania, Valley Forge is about 20 miles west of Philadelphia. It's worth going to, I think.
I've
Valley
been there.
Forge is, you've been, yes, you have.
I've been to Valley Forge more than once. I actually got to go. With the group that was I was invited, and one of the things that I'm getting goosebumps now. I got to stand where in the planning room in Valley Forge where they planned a lot of the movement going forward, and where Washington in the room where he was, and they left me behind the ropes, and they have ropes up there, so you can't. And the park ranger was said he knew who I was, and he said and I got to stand right there beside the table, and can't take no pictures, he said. But anyways, he said but it was kind of neat. You got to be part of that, and you get goosebumps on your arms thinking that there was a man that had everything to lose, everything, and they went forward. They didn't back up. I mean, they backed up many times. And one of Washington's greatest tributes, I was reading a book that they attribute Washington with about he was able to retreat, but he was able to make the enemy limp a little bit every time he did, and that was what it was able that one enabled him. But then there was a lot of things that came into play. Jefferson said it was the mountain men, the over mountain men, that actually changed the course of the revolution, because the British didn't know how to fight with them. And that was the first battle, the battle at Kings Mountain, where that was probably the first strategic win that we had at that time. And I know you're a historian, and the reason I always remember Kings Mountain is because it was a time when people, they didn't know what was going to happen next, but the British were pretty much in control of that part of the country. Yes. And these guys walked all night long.
Yes. They were, a lot of people don't understand that the people who followed and supported the revolution were not the majority. They were a very small minority, but they were all in. I mean, they put everything on the line, especially, this is fairly well known, but I don't assume that everybody knows it, that everybody who signed the Declaration of Independence paid a personal price in loss of family members, loss of fortune, loss of homes.
Yes.
So that, this wasn't just, we're going to sign this and, we'll be okay. No, they paid a price personally. And Valley Forge is the defining turning point of the American Revolutionary War. It's where the Army really transformed under the Prussian military leader. You know this, John, when, you know how those Germans are. They're militarily, they're very gifted in organizing and planning. And the Prussian military officer, Baron Friedrich von Steuben, came in.
Yes.
And he transformed them. He took a ragtag group of a collection of all kinds of people from all walks of life, standardized military drills, marching formations, weapon usage, just really trained them and turned them into an army. And it's because of what he did that you saw them begin to gel and see themselves not as a group of individuals fighting for liberty, but a genuine army.
Yeah, we can. The one thing that I do want people to understand that are listening to this, and a lot of people don't understand, the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. There's a couple dates, but we celebrate July the 4th because that was. But I believe it was in August when it finally completely signed and got to print. It was a time when there was no staples to go to run things off. So everything had to be done by hand. So anyways, to make a long story short, we were still fighting the revolution 10 years later.
Yes.
And a lot of people think, like because of the way movies are and fit in a 2-hour time frame, or that this all happened very quickly, and it didn't. I mean, it was a different time, a different era in the
and Britain was the superpower of that day. I mean,
the
sun never set on the British Empire. This was a serious arm. Humanly speaking, it was impossible for America to do what it did. We never talk about the miracles of the revolution, and that's a conversation to have with Pastor David Whitney. He does a brilliant presentation on the miracles of the revolution.
The one thing I always think about, and the one thing I always think about is when they evacuated Manhattan, and it was just by divine intervention that there was fog that day, that they were that morning, so they can finish evacuating, because that was the army. It was there. It was
Yep.
trapped.
Yes.
It was trapped against the sea, and it wasn't like there was the Coast Guard and the Navy could come and help them, because there wasn't none. So I mean, a lot of people. I love history. I think that we all the different things that happened, but we're going to get Pastor Whitney on here maybe next week, and we're going to talk to him. It's just I think that with the two of us and Pastor Whitney and a couple other people, that we're gonna talk about this and try to get this moving forward, so we can do some things, some 4th of July things for 250 years. But
Yes.
But I think afterwards we can't just say, well, that was fun. We had our picnic and the fireworks were shot. But I think we need to keep on moving forward with the
Absolutely.
movement that we're putting in place right now.
Yes, you're right, John. And, Pastor Whitney and I offer Constitution Applied courses online for people who want to know how. He teaches people how to take what they've learned about the Constitution and how to use it practically. But, one thing, I don't know how many people realize the role that disease and famine and starvation played, not only in the revolution, but in the Civil War as well.
Oh,
For
yes.
instance, over 2,000 soldiers at Valley Forge, 1 in 6 died due to improper hygiene, lack of sanitation, medical knowledge, disease, scurvy, smallpox, dysentery, other things like that. So that was as much of the enemy they were fighting as they were fighting the British.
Yeah. But anyways, I like to if you have a chance out there, and people need to take time and go to Valley Forge, that'd be a good thing. It's kind of a nice trip. There's a lot of things to do around there, actually, we had grandkids with us. I think we had a couple grandkids with us, and they enjoyed the day. They enjoyed the couple of days we were out there. So, but anyways, anything we want to we want to talk about several different things. One of the things is that I want to bring up. I'm going to start bringing it up on every show now. We're going to have a dinner here in Fayette County. We haven't named it yet. We'll get to that maybe in a day or two. But it's going to be in October, and Pastor Whitney and you and some other people are going to be coming in to be with us at here. Look, I'm waiting on a confirmation from the. I'm waiting on a confirmation on where we're going to have it at. I spoke to some people yesterday, and they just want to double check to make sure everything is okay, and they don't have nothing scheduled. So we're going to get that taken care of. It's probably going to be the second Saturday in October, and we're going to put something to it. We're going to put a catchy name to it, and we're going to get a couple hundred people there, and there's going to be a lot of things going on. And one of the things we're going to do differently at this event, we're going to have a really nice dinner, and it's not going to be just. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple speakers that'll speak just a little bit, but then we're going to have people that are able to answer questions there, and we entertain that, and that's what we want to do. We want people to ask the questions about different things that are going on and how we can help do some things. So, Kim, is there anything else you want to try to get to today?
Just to encourage people, as you have done really well, to visit historic sites. But we hope we're giving you background information that you may not get when you visit those sites, because more and more these sites are being hijacked by extreme leftists who want to rebrand the patriots as the bad guys. And
it isn't just the leftists that are doing this. It's the establishment too. They want people to We're having a problem here with the Republican Party here in Fayette County now because they don't want the common person. They're trying to keep it so they want to keep their elite group. They don't want other people moving in. We've had people elected that that are being told that they're not going to be allowed to attend meetings because they weren't vetted before they were put on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the Save America Act. You had 4 Republicans in the House that sunk that because they voted with the Democrats. So you can't assume that everybody who is a Republican believes in Republican ideas of limited government, self-rule, lesser government. You know, you have to, these days, you really just have to ask really good questions and find out where people stand. As Pastor Whitney always says, ask people, what do you understand about your job according to the Constitution? And he's asked that question, and people that he's taught, has taken his classes, have asked that question and have gotten really interesting answers from people. They don't know a lot of times what their job is according to the Constitution. And that is, in fact, their God-given rights, right, John?
That is. Our rights come from God, not from government.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize. I mean, I've read different books about it, and actually, the people that some of the people that don't actually, aren't Christian or they don't profess to be, anyways. That they do believe our rights came from a higher power, not government.
That's right.
And that was the way I believe that Jefferson felt about things. And a lot of people say he was a deist, but well. Okay.
He was not. He was not a deist. Just read that book that I mentioned to you about, written by Dr. Jerry Newcomb and Mark E. Lyles, Thomas Jefferson, the God who gave us liberty. Folks, read what he said in his own words. And that book quotes him extensively. Get the original sources.
Well, you'll have to make sure that you introduce me to the author, and we'll get him on the radio.
Yes.
Jefferson, or we'll get him on the podcast radio. I really think that'd be great because Jefferson is one of my favorite people, and in history. It's kind of funny. I think MacArthur is also one of my favorite people, and I don't know that they would have been able to sit in the same room together. But anyways, but that's okay. I mean, MacArthur would be smart enough to talk to Jefferson, I think. But anyways,
and they both love their country, and they're not communists. They're not Marxists.
Yeah, this is true. Well, Kim, it was a pleasure, as it always is. And like I said, we'll be talking probably in the next couple of days to try to put some finalization on the event we're going to have in October. I want to thank you so much. I thank you so much for everything you're doing for me out there, and we'll keep things moving. So,
all right, John, sounds great. Thank you for having me on.
Yep. With that, we're going to close up. On this road called life, you don't drift. You draw a line. You take the good with the bad. Thank God for both, and you keep moving forward. You love what you got. Remember what you lost. Always forgive, but never forget what it taught you. Because truth don't bend and right don't answer to a crowd. So stand up for the widow, for the orphan, for the voiceless and the forgotten. Stand when it's hard. Stand when it costs you. Stand while others sit. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God goes with you. So keep your boots steady, your faith in God, and your backbone steel strong. Keep your boots planted firm, even in the valley of the shadow of death. Fear no evil. Hold your ground. Make it known. You don't bow to man, and you don't belong to this world. Stand tall. Walk straight. Never back down. Always remember and never forget. When in doubt, stand on it. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. I am Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.